And we are right at noon straight up. So folks, thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday at noon Pacific Standard Time. Once again, time for another Kuker Ranken Lunch and Learn. We're pleased to have you here and grateful that you're joining us for a little bit of your midweek daytime to learn a little bit more about what Kuker Ranken offers and some of the products we work with, etc. So without any further commentary, I'm going to turn it right over to Jeremy Kippen out of our Las Vegas store, who's going to be taking us through various models of the GS18. Jeremy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Douglas, and thanks everybody for showing up again to another Lunch and Learn this week. It's exciting to be back. Today, I will be discussing the Leica GS18 series. A lot of you who are unfamiliar with Leica, they have had several different GS18 or GS series over the years, excuse me. And right now, the GS18 series is the current line that we're running. For those of you who have not seen it before, this is actually one of the first GS18s that KukerRanken purchased. It has been used quite a bit. You know, it is withheld very well since 2018. And so, you know, right off the bat, it's got some very excellent integrity, which I absolutely love. If any of you attended my CS20 Lunch and Learn a few weeks ago, you know, we did discuss about how Leica really does pride themselves in the durability of their equipment. And so let's just jump right in. I've got a PowerPoint that I'm going to share with you guys today. And let me grab my screen. All right. Is my screen visible? I can get a confirmation.
We got it.
Yes, sir. Looks great.
All right. All right, guys.
Looks good here, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving forward here, you know, so quickly, just a little bit about me, if you guys are unfamiliar with myself. My name is Jeremy Kippen. I am actually based out of Las Vegas office. I moved here 4 years ago to be the geomatics sales representative down here. I've been involved in different training and sales throughout the last 4 years. A little bit of background history on me. I have surveyed for 4 years, or I had surveyed for 8 years outside in Utah for 2 different firms. And if there is any questions that are needed during the Lunch and Learn, please don't hesitate to reach out. Also, my contact information is up on the screen. Hold on here. All right. So first thing we got is the Leica GS18 series. There are 3 different models for the GS18. We have the basic GS18, we have the tilt variant, and we have the imaging variant. And now you guys are probably wondering, why are there 3 different variants of the GS18? Well, to take you through a little bit of history here, as you guys can see, I've got different release dates, and they're not as you would expect. You would expect that the GS18 would have been first, and then the GS18T, and then the GS18I. However, that's not the case. The true case of it is, oops, we're going to skip a slide there for a second. The GS18T was actually released November 2nd of 2017. This was the first tilt IMU sensor to hit the market, beating out Trimble, Geomax, Topcon. You know, Leica was the first. It was also the first GNSS receiver to have a 4G LTE modem installed as well. Now, with that, what is so great about the GS18? What made it stand out against the competitors? A couple things, and this will go along for the rest of the series. It is calibration free. There's no need to calibrate this. I don't have to pick it up. I don't have to calibrate it. I don't have to move it around and make sure it's good like, unfortunately, some of our competitors' equipment. You have to do this every 80 hours. Our unit does not. It does not receive any magnetic disturbances. So if I was to get up next to a chain link fence, an automotive vehicle, let's say a steel building, we're not going to have those magnetic interferences to disturb our frequencies that we are receiving. Also, the other benefit of the GS18T, the tilt sensor, it has an internal measuring unit. And so as you tip it, if you're plumb, standard surveying procedures is you shoot everything plumb. You bubble up, you measure your shot, because we're calculating what the difference is from the ground to where we measured with the receiver. Well, tilt helps. We can actually tip it over. So say there's a point that you can't plumb up on, but you can get it, but you're going to be shooting at a 45-degree angle. We can now measure it. It's going to do the calculations to plumb it up. And I'll actually show you guys that more here in a few weeks when I do surveying with the CS20 and GS18. And I'll be able to show you some data and checks to how that actually computes out in that next lunch and learn. Next up is the GS18I. This was the second unit to be released under the GS18 series. It has been an incredible addition. The GS18I has a 1.2 megapixel global shutter camera in it. It's got a field view of 80 degrees horizontally. So horizontally, we're going to see 80 degrees past what we can, and then 60 degrees vertically as well. The point behind the imaging camera is to be able to get you to collect images in the field where you cannot really get with your GPS at all. Say underneath the canopy, there is a column that you need to get, or an inside building corner. These are just a few little examples. And with doing that, you can walk your survey, collect your images, and then right there in the field, you can actually measure where your point is at. This, again, was another great introduction to the surveying field where Leica wants to increase productivity for survey crews. They want to eliminate errors for survey crews, delivering just that amazing quality data at the end of the day. As well as you guys see, there's a few things here, it is same as what the GS18T with the addition of the camera. So nothing really changed with that unit as well. Coming up third, the GS18 was released on June 16th of 2021. This is to be the third and final, supposedly. Well, I do not have a statement saying that is final, but this is by my understanding. This unit is standard unit, as I call it. We've referenced to it as standard unit within KukerRanken. It is a non-tilt variant and a non-imaging variant. We can send this unit back to Leica to have an IMU installed. It is completely serviceable and upgradable to become a GS18T. It cannot be upgraded to a GS18I. It's a whole new housing, and you're better off just at that point. If you want the 18i, buy your 18i. Trust me, you will not hate any of these products. Picture here actually was one of my customers' orders last year that they came in and picked up 5 new GS18s. So this was an incredible sale, to be honest. And they're actually looking at already upgrading 2 of their GS18s to GS18Ts. So that is a great flexibility for those firms who, they're interested, but they just don't know if they're ready to go with the tilt yet. They want to see how it works, just the standard unit, and then move on from there. All right. So a lot of this, you're going to have, we've got customers looking at upgrading, we have this particular data collector or this particular data collector. What is actually going to work with the GS18s? And luckily, for the most part, all CS30 units will work with the GS18s, both long range and Bluetooth units, as well as the CS35 tablets. They will work with all GS18 models. However, when we start moving over to the CS20, there are some caveats with the CS20s. If you would like to have an imaging GS18i, you will actually need to purchase the CS20 LTE disto model versus an LTE or a basic. And the reason being is To collect your data from the GS18i, you actually connect to your data collector to the GS18 via a WLAN connection, that is essentially an internet connection, to stream your data images over to your data collector. But also you need at minimum 2 gigabytes of RAM to process the data. The CS20 Basic and the CS20 LTE only support 1 gigabyte of RAM in these controllers. And so if you had a GS18i, they will be unable to take the data from the GS18i. You're just sitting there. It won't even allow you to use the GS imaging option. So that's why I threw this little caveat in there, just say, here's what's up. But the GS18 and the GS18T will work with the CS20 Basic and the CS20 LTE just fine, no issues. And really, if you wanted to use a GS18i with a CS20 LTE that has just the 1 gigabyte of RAM, you can do it with a Bluetooth connection. It's just, however, if you want to utilize full functionality of it, this is a recommended setup just to ensure you are able to keep moving forward. We don't want you guys coming back to us later and saying, you didn't tell me about this. We want all of our customers to be knowledgeable with their equipment and their capabilities of how they work. All right. So this is the nitty gritty. This is the geeky stuff. This is, in all fairness, this is a lot of what I love and what it gets to do. First time I saw this unit, and again, when I expressed a few weeks ago with the CS20, when I was a customer and I was looking at upgrading from a previous company to working with KR and Leica, one of the things that caught me, my sales rep, he hit all the buttons that I was griping about. One of the things was actually the smart check. And what the smart check is, it runs 2 checks, one in the forefront and one in the background, checking your initialization, making sure that everything is cohesive, that you have not lost your corrections at any point. There's times when you lose a correction and it does not register for a few seconds. You could actually take a measurement within that time period, and it'll give you a bad reading, but you don't know it until maybe 2-3 shots down the road, and then you've got a few bad points. This will alert you immediately if you've lost corrections, and it's actually going to stop the measurement process. This has been excellent for a lot of customers. They see the little green check mark, and I will touch on the little green check mark here in a few weeks so you guys understand what I am talking about and why it is so important with Smart Check. And so again, I emphasize the durability, the ruggedness of the Leica equipment. Just because it says it will withstand a 2-meter topple over doesn't mean you should do it. I had a customer test this theory. It got wrapped up around one of their truck tires, wham, down on the road. It was a little bit harder of a hit than they thought, and unfortunately, they had to replace it because they absolutely destroyed their GS18. They had it for 3 months, and they paid for it twice. The GS18 is an IP66 and 68 rating. 2 reasons why there are 2 different ratings is it will withstand dust and up to 1.5 meters of water for 30 minutes. So if you submerge that in 1.5 meters of water, you got 30 minutes before you're starting to really do some damage. Otherwise, the IP66 rating is the highest level of waterproof protection. Also, we can get their test was actually done with water jets for 30 minutes, seeing how long till it started degrading the body. All right, firmware. Why is keeping your firmware up to date so important? excuse me, sorry. Yeah. With keeping your firmware up to date, this allows access to the latest improvements, any changes, any bug issues that may have happened. The most current firmware version is version 7.50. It actually did increase the performance in challenging environments, such as working next to a tall structure, trees, cars, and allowing a higher RTK availability. And with that being said, working under tree canopies can be very difficult. Down here in Nevada, we don't have that issue. Up in Seattle, Portland, those areas, you guys are always in a lot of tree cover. So anybody who's in a lot of tree cover, it takes a lot more time. To gain access to the firmware, you can go to the Leica My World portal. I did attach the link in there. And if you have questions, KukerRanken staff is always here to assist with any tech support and training issues. Now I'm going to take a step back here for a minute, and I am going to throw out for any questions, and let's just catch a little breather here for a minute. I see a lot of chats going on right now, so let's just see what's going on. Anybody, any questions?
No questions have come up just yet on the Facebook channel here,
Okay.
Jeremy. Here's a question that's just come up. What kind of accessories should people be purchasing when they purchase the GS18, and which is the one that you would recommend for most uses?
So as far as accessories go, when they're quoted out, we will quote out a 4G LTE antenna, a UHF radio antenna, of course, always 2 batteries. And if you're getting a new CS20, of course, the CS20, that is the most important key next to the GS18. And then from there, as far as any other accessories, there's not much. If you're needing an external battery and a cable, it does have an 8-pin LEMO port on the bottom to where you can actually plug in a cable and hook it to an external battery, say marine deep cell battery with alligator clips. You can power it like that all day if you're running a base and rover setup. In all fairness and all reality, I would say the GS18i, the imaging, is the way to go because it has so much diversity and capability to cover any type of job that you're never left looking at a job and you need to get a total station out for 2 points that could have been easily captured with the GS18i.
Okay. Next question that came up is, will it work with the various DTR GNSS tablets? DT Research GNSS tablets.
The DT Research tablets, it will work with the DT Research tablets if you are utilizing Field Genius software. Right now, we do not have a way to download Captivate software onto the DT Research tablet to use Captivate software that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so Captivate is the portal through that we normally work, but since we can't put Captivate on the DT Research Windows tablets, we would need to use Field Genius instead.
Correct, and it works excellent. I do have some customers who actually use Field Genius still with their GS18s.
Okay. Well, given that call or that question came from Salt Lake City, I suspect it's one of the DOTs asking the question because I know
it very well could be, yes.
Okay, good. All right. We have anyone else that's got any questions for Jeremy here? We'll give it another minute or two.
Well, a few other things I did want to touch on that I may have missed earlier. I'm actually going to scroll back here a few slides because I realized I have one out of place. So excuse me. GS18. Within your battery cover here, you do have your capability for an SD card slot and a SIM card slot. I know it is very difficult to see here, but everything is accessible right through the battery cover. You also do have an 8-hour runtime. If you know you're going to be out in the field longer than 8 hours, pack an extra battery with you. They're not that heavy. Battery that you use is going to be the GEB 334. It's about that big, that thick. that wide, 4 battery contacts. It is the same battery that the CS20 uses. So you've got same, you know, you can have 4, 6, 8, 10 full batteries that you've got use, and you're never going to be running out of batteries, let alone you don't need a different battery. It does have internal memory up to 4 gigabytes, and it does have, like I mentioned earlier, it does have the options for the internal and external battery slots, and it does have your port for your UHF radio antenna and your 4G LTE antenna. The antennas will swap over, but they will not work if you put the wrong antenna in the wrong slot. They are designed to receive different frequencies. I had a customer call me one day, and they said they put their antenna in to the 4G port. They grabbed the wrong antenna and put it in the 4G port, and they weren't getting any internet. They couldn't figure out why. So again, if there's any other questions?
Well, I think that nothing's come through on the Facebook side nor on the regular chat side here. Folks, you got about 30 seconds to ask for another calendar, or for another calendar, excuse me. I just saw the word calendar pop up on my screen. If you want to ask any more questions, this is the right time to do it. And if you look at your chat, you can see information about what's coming up next, our next Lunch and Learns, how you can access one of the Kuker Ranken calendars if you'd like to get one of those in your offices, as well as direct contact for our various store and phone numbers. And then you'll also need to see a link in there where you can sign up for our KukerRanken newsletter, which comes out every week and sometimes twice a week, once for survey and once for our uncrewed equipment. So we'd love to see you on those mailing lists where you can. And pending that, I think, if we see any other questions that are coming through here, I think that drags us through. And Jeremy, we've got your email and my email that's now been put in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Again, everybody, thank you so much. I've got the list of Kuker Ranken locations listed above. If you got any questions, reach out to one of us and we'll be happy to help you out.
Well, outstanding job, Jeremy. We'll go ahead and end our Lunch and Learn for today, and we'll look forward to seeing you folks with us next Wednesday at noon Pacific Standard Time for our next Kuker Ranken Lunch and Learn. Until then, be safe out there, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.